MicroStrategy stock is making millionaires. Derivatives of MicroStrategy stock like MSTY can make you very wealthy as well. And I want to go over some numbers. I want to compare it to Bitcoin. And you can kind of draw your own conclusions about what's going on here. This is some crazy stuff, guys. So MSTY, it hasn't been out the whole year, so you can't really do a year-to-date comparison. But it debuted in February, okay, of this year. Now, if you dripped dividends, let's say you had it in a non-taxable account and you dripped the dividends down, the total return is 98%. So, and that's not even the whole year. So, you know, in the 1 year chart, it should be able to break that 100 mark easily. Bitcoin, year to date, 51%. So let me repeat that so this can sink in. A covered call ETF total returns is beating Bitcoin. That is just unbelievable. But that shows you the power of MicroStrategy stock and what it's doing. Oh, by the way, MicroStrategy stock, 1 year chart, 496%. Almost at 500. So you could have put around 200K in a year ago and you'd be a millionaire today. It is making millionaires, MicroStrategy stock. Can't ignore that either. I talk a lot about MSTY, it's my girl, you know, but it's an income stock. It's a covered call ETF. But you absolutely have to look at getting into MicroStrategy stock also. Year to date is 183. So really, you know, if you look at Misty, it's not, you know, it's trailing behind, but not that much. But remember, the inception was in February. We can't trace it back the whole year. And Bitcoin had that huge run up in the early part of the year. So MSTY missed that. The October payment is coming up, and there's a couple extra weeks added in them to, you know, generate more profits, to have a, you know, bigger distribution. Now, I've heard guesstimates of what this distribution is going to be. Low end, I've heard, you know, $3. I've heard as high as $6. We're going to find out in about a week here on Declaration Day. If it's $6, if that's right, that will break all records. New York Stock Exchange has never had a stock pay a dividend. It's not really a dividend though. It's a distribution. It has never seen that before. That we've never even seen that before. It could be a record for a stock. Huge potential distribution coming up. You know, my speculation is with MicroStrategy, you'll notice even when Bitcoin was going down, MicroStrategy went up. So what I think is happening is people see what's going on with MicroStrategy. And what I think it was is they pumped the stock. So even though Bitcoin, you know, that should be the catalyst of the price action, but it's not. Even when it went down, MicroStrategy stock went up. And I think that's what happened. I think so many people bought in because they're like, oh, I see what's going on here. And they just kind of artificially pumped the stock price up. I've also heard people talking about, you know, Misty, when to sell. I've seen people say, I saw this YouTuber the other day said, well, Misty's in the upper 20s. I got to take advantage of this and sell out. I'm like, oh my God, dude, I swear, I can't take him seriously anymore. Really? You sold now? Are people even paying attention? There's analysts, they're predicting Bitcoin in Q4 to reach anywhere from $105,000 to $155,000. Why in the world would you sell now? Are you crazy? That's over double the price. Can you imagine what's going to happen with MicroStrategy stock and all its derivatives if Bitcoin over doubles in price from here to December, you know, the end of the year? It's not even that long of a time span. And people are selling out now. I just don't get it. And I've talked to people, a lot of people about it. Are you going to try to time the market and sell out of MSTY, fearing some sort of, collapse in Bitcoin price or, down into the bear market? And the consensus that, most of the people I talk to say they're never selling. They're just never selling it because they believe with the Bitcoin ETFs and all the countries, municipalities buying in, that we're never going to see those huge, drops like we used to see. So in other words, the Bitcoin cycle is completely altered with all the ETFs and all the recent events. And those, like we had the big drop down to 16,000 at the end of last cycle. Most people are saying, no, I don't think that's going to happen anymore. So in other words, they believe that the Bitcoin price is going to plateau and then climb up and plateau and climb up. And it will never drop like we used to see. So that's kind of the consensus is just hold this, just hold it. And if that happens, if we don't see a huge drop and we see those climbs up and then plateaus and consolidation and climbing up, MSTY is just gonna absolutely rocket. The total returns, the distributions are just gonna be insane. But again, we really have to look at maybe a mix of MSTR because we can't ignore, the total returns on MSTR stock, compared to MSTY is just so much better. Like you can't ignore that either. So probably should look at buying a mix of both. And whatever you want to do, if you're more of a growth investor, you buy MSTR stock. If you're an income investor, you could buy MSTY, or you could do a mix of both. And like I said, it's making people very wealthy, and people are growing their portfolio like they just never believed they could before.